Peter, you started a 5-day fast. You're on day 4, I believe, in the very beginning of the year. So for those of us who are not familiar with fasting and why maybe you're doing it, I think we'd all love to hear.
Yeah, so this is not my first time doing this. A 5-day fast is pretty intense. It's a water fast, and it is something that there's multiple reasons for it. It's let's talk, and we could talk about so I'm doing it for spiritual reasons. It's something that my church does every single year with I'm part of this church called Every Nation Church, and the whole Every Nation body actually does a 5-day fast. Now, a 5-day fast is pretty intense. A lot of people should actually be careful when doing a 5-day fast because there can be a lot of health issues, actually, like having lower blood pressure or being very dizzy or nauseous. There are people who have passed out. There are people who, if you have diabetes, should be very careful. But the benefits of it are quite substantial. As you know, you've probably heard of like autophagy, and you've probably heard. We could break some of these things down. But one of the things I've actually seen was that you can lose a substantial amount of weight. If you go 3 to 5 days, you could lose up to, I think it was anywhere between 2 to 5 or 8%. Let me just verify that. But then if you go past 5 days, you can go even higher than that. Hold on, let me just get the actual.
While you do that, I have a quick little factoid. So what do you think is the longest fast that anybody has ever done, with or without supervision?
All I know is Jesus, and that was 40 days. But I do know people have done longer than 40 days.
Yeah, so the longest medically supervised fast, I think that's a really, important point, like you said, is like 300 plus days. And that's because that person was overweight. He was, severely obese. But I think it's just a point to drive home for people to think that you're not going to die as long as, you're not on medication. For women, it can be a difficult thing during certain parts of your menstrual cycle. I talked to my wife about this, and there's like books on this stuff. But, you have fat in your body. And if you have fat in your body and you're not on, medication, then it can be a great tool. But please continue.
Yeah, so the 5-day fast, it can be 4 to 6% of the body weight loss, and then extended 7 to 10 days could yield about 2 to 10%. And I've actually seen videos of people who have done longer fasts, like I think it was like a month plus, even like I think it was even like 60 days, and you just see this guy, like he's pretty large, and he did a very long fast, and you just see him losing like ridiculous amounts of weight. But the other benefits of that is that it's not just weight. You can also reduce LDL cholesterol, which is the bad cholesterol, right? It's a lower lipid cholesterol, and up to 5 to 20% actually. And then you could reduce triglycerides, again, another bad cholesterol, up to 50%. So pretty significant stuff. And I think one of the problems with the weight loss is that actually you could potentially lose a lot of the weight loss could be lean muscle mass as well. So you gotta kind of be careful when doing the fast. But I would say I think it's very powerful. You hear about people with cancer, and they do like a fast. They start going into ketones, and then them healing, or of course there's autophagy, which is your body like basically recycling yourself, like eating its own proteins or eating itself as a way to kind of recycle and heal. And then you get all of these health benefits. I mean, I don't think it's pseudoscience anymore. I think it's pretty well known, and there's been a lot of studies that a fast can be very powerful. I think what is more practical than a longer fast, even though I do recommend a longer fast every once in a while, at least 3 days, you know, the intermittent fasting, I believe, is a very powerful thing, which something that you and I have been doing. So what can you tell us about your experiences with fasting?
Actually, I would like to hear your experience first, just because you're in it. So, you know, I've seen you in the early parts of your fast on like your second day, and then now you're on your fourth, and I guess tomorrow is your last day.
Yeah.
Can you just kind of tell us what you've been going through and what
Sure.
benefits, how you're feeling? Is it
Sure.
crazy? Did you pass out? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, my honest assessment on what happened is, first of all, I've been doing intermittent fasting for a long time, which means, you know, I would my first meal would be at like 1 o'clock or 12 o'clock. My last meal would be like 7, you know, it's like a 16-hour window typically or plus. And that's no problem for me. I'm actually pretty used to it. I recommend people do it. But this longer fast, it's rough. I would say the first day, not too bad. The first time I did it, I remember like at night, I was feeling pretty like down. You lose energy. You feel lightheaded. You can't think as well. It's real. I mean, food makes an absolute real difference. And then by the second day, I was pretty dead. I mean, the first time I've done it, even this time, I was like really energyless. I should have just been bedridden. It was that bad. And I'm not a guy. I'm a guy who works out when I'm sick. You know, I don't let that stuff stop me. But I was really, really low energy. I had to watch my kid in the morning. It was really rough. I just had no energy. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I felt nauseous. I wanted to throw up. It wasn't more than the hunger pain. I was just like, it was like drinking. It was like being force fed like 6 beers, and you're just really lightheaded and you're just really tired, but life is pushing you to function. And so, but what's funny is I hear that your body starts moving into ketones after a certain time, you know, after, you know, 48 or 72 hours, your body starts going into ketones. And all of a sudden on my third day, the energy starts coming back. This happened before as well. The energy starts coming back, and you feel actually a little bit more clear-headed than you normally are. Like right now, I'm on the 4th day. I'm feeling more clear-headed. And listen, I wish I had food in my body, but I'm feeling that's what happens when you start going off ketones, which is why a lot of people they endorse the keto diet, because you actually get this a different kind of energy and mental clarity when you're on ketones. So it gets better, but those first couple of days, and I did do a workout, by the way. I did a workout on, I think, Monday or Tuesday. I think it was Monday. Yeah, it's rough in the beginning. It gets better though.
Yeah, so just to share what I've researched and what I've experienced through friends like you, or my other friends who've tried it. I think the number one thing that's really valuable is your detachment from food. Even as a parent, like I'm trying to feed my kid all the time, and obviously I don't know if kids should be fasting because they have a different metabolic need than us, but when you can separate one of your, after air and water, it's food, right? And if you can separate that kind of physical need from, because there's a voice that tells you must get food. And if you look at people who diet all the time, like competitive bodybuilders or athletes, like when you get to a really crazy level of, body fat or whatever, like people turn into animals. They're like smelling food from like 2 rooms away, and they can hear like the crinkling of paper, like wrapping paper or whatever it is. But what I realized or figured out is when you start with a small fast, I mean, the reason why breakfast is called you're breaking your fast. And historically, we didn't have snacks at night, right? We didn't have a Dairy Queen or McDonald's. We used to work, till the fields, milk the cows, whatever. And then you would, eat your supper, dinner at 6, maybe 7, go to sleep and wake up in 12 hours and actually eat again, breaking your fast. So what I tell people who want to try it and people who want to experience weight loss, clarity, kind of that detachment from food to kind of gain control over that urge is like every time you sleep, you're already fasting, right? So even if you have a late night snack at 9 p.m. and you sleep for 8 hours, 6 hours, that's still like a 9-hour fast. So then maybe you add in an hour and it's 10 and it's 11 and it's 12, so, and then I think you and I both worked up to like a 12-hour fast and it's like, oh, it's not too bad. And then 16, and then we did the 1 meal a day thing. I think we were doing that for a little bit. And then I think we both kind of did, okay, well, what if it's 24 and then 36 and then 48 and, whatever. There is, and again, really, it's not for everybody in every part of their life. If you're an athlete, for example, if you work out a lot, if you have a lot of energy expenditure, it's probably not the right fit for you. And also going back to the whole, menstrual cycle, if you're a woman, it's completely different. There's actually a book called Fast Like a Girl that my wife read, and I learned a lot about that. But, sometimes your joints even feel better. The clarity is real. Sometimes, and the thing I also learned is that there's a hormone called ghrelin that gets produced in your body during the times that you're normally eating. So what seems like hunger pangs that might last forever is actually an hour. So if I eat at 9 and 1 and 6, I guess, right? Like most people, from 9 to 10, maybe 10:30, you're going to feel this intense hunger, like your body's craving for food. And the key is to be doing something, right? Like you're watching your kid, maybe you're working, maybe you're taking a walk, doing something. And by 10:30, you realize that ghrelin has gone down. You don't feel that crazy hunger pang anymore. And then all of a sudden at 1 p.m., you get that thing again. So you can kind of start to really rewrite your biology in a way. And people have, reverse diabetes. This is actually like a clinical practice. So what they'll do is they will, there's a lot of people who have diabetes, and they will start fasting people to lower their blood sugar, to not need as much insulin. And then sometimes they'll go to like a full day of eating, normal, and then a 500 calorie day, kind of a fast, right? Maybe like a small snack for the whole day, back and forth. And people will actually improve diabetes and all these other things. So anyway, I think it's a really good thing for people to try, and I will definitely look into it as a topic. And you know what? Honestly, it saves you so much time to not have to make and eat one meal of the day. You can get right up in the morning, and there's different types of fasting too, right? So like you mentioned, there's like the keto diet where you eat a certain type of food. So maybe it's a fast from a type of from carbs. It could be a water fast, a dry fast. It could be a bone broth fast. There's all these things that you can do, but I would highly recommend people look into it. So,
yeah, I mean, to be honest, I've kept a pretty good weight. I would say I've been pretty happy with my weight for many, many years. I think when we get to like our age, which is almost 40s, we tend to gain weight, especially having kids and just the stress of that and the busyness of life. We don't work out as much. But one of the best methods for maintaining good weight is intermittent fasting, just skipping that breakfast, because it really does a number on you. So I would just recommend everyone to consider it, doing intermittent fasting. For if you're a guy, just make sure you're having enough protein when you are eating. Try to eat as much as you can in terms of protein. I mean, you heard the CDC. I'm sure you heard RFK, talking about how they kind of flipped the pyramid, and now they want to do a lot more proteins, a lot more fats. I think it's pretty clear now that eating a bunch of carbs actually don't do you justice in terms of what your body actually needs. And so a lot of proteins are important. So if you're a guy, make sure you're having as much protein as possible during your windows to eat. But for time's sake, we should probably move on to some of our other topics, whether it's Trump or Venezuela.
Yeah, real quick, I do feel like it's important to say that there's a lot of autoimmune disease as well. So there's Crohn's disease, there's IBS, and it's actually a medical thing to recommend a carnivore diet. And there's so much stuff and pesticides and ultra processing of these carbs, whether it's pasta or whatever, what have you, that if you go onto like a carnivore diet, you actually can heal yourself of all of these issues. So it's not only for lifestyle, but it's actually for healing. And there's a lot of gut issues going around. So I did want to mention that.